زنجل لست أدلون كما يسمى بلادي بلاد السودان وهذا ملوني أنا جند الشعب لتحرير السودان يا شباب الدنيا ويا سوائف افريقيا اسمع صوتي انا من مدينه كرمك اخذ انجلتنا واسمع صوتي كمان من مدينه كويتا راسي تفوزا بلدي بلد كثير الخيرات فيه كل ثروات الزراعيه والحيوانيه والمعادن فكيف أكون جعان وكيف أكون عاريان وكيف أكون مرضان بدون دواء في بلدي الغنية يا شباب الدنيا ويا ثوار افريقيا اسمعوا صوتي انا من مدينة كرمك ارض انقسنا واسمعوا صوتي كمان من مدينة كابويتا أرض تفوسا لولا خلفيات المستعمر ولا قال لي البرجوازي الحاكم في بلادي فكيف أكون عطشان وبلدي غزير الأمطار وكمان نهر النيل العظيم يشق من الجنوب إلى شمال بلادي يا شباب الدنيا ويا ثوار افريقيا اسمعوا صوتي انا من مدينة كرمك ارض انقسنا واسمعوا صوتي كمان من مدينة كابويتا ارض تفوسا الاستعمار البغيض مع البسيط تركني مكتف الايدي ومقفول الدماغ بدون تعليم ومقفول الدماغ بدون تفكير عشان ما أدري كيف أحرر وأطور بلدي يا شباب الدنيا ويا ثوار افريقيا اسمعوا صوتي أنا من مدينة كرمك أرض انقسنا واسمعوا صوتي كمان من مدينة كابويتا أرض تفوسا ولكن اليوم يا ناس الدنيا ويا ثوار افريقيا أنا غضبت خلاص وأنا رفعت سلاح وأنا بديت تحرير من جنوب بلادي إلى شمال بلادي ومن غرب بلادي إلى شرق بلادي وأنا ماشي قدام لأحرر كل شبر من أراضي بلدي يا شباب الدنيا ويا ثوار افريقيا اسمعوا صوتي انا من مدينة كرمك ارض انقسنا واسمعوا صوتي كمان من مدينة كابويتا ارض تفوسا.
Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Madingor. This week on Fixing South Sudan, we focus on the 38th anniversary of the commemoration of the founding of the Sudan People's Liberation Army movement. Joining us in the program is veteran SPLA commander and the incoming Deputy Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Honorable Lieutenant General Chol Thon Balok. It's my pleasure to welcome him to this show for the first time. Welcome to the program. How are you?
Thank you, Malik. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. You're one of the people who fought for this flag that we are seeing in the Republic of South Sudan. Many people would like to know who is General Chol Thon Balok. Briefly tell me about you.
Thank you, Mading. Thank you for having me here for the first time. I'm Lieutenant General, now Honorable Chol Thon Balok, from the SPLM. Thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Tell me about you, biographical details, where you were born, where you grew up, just a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm a South Sudanese, of course, from Upper Nile region, from the area of Sobat district, along Sobat district, Gelachel, Payam in particular. That is my home village, is where I was born.
We are going to talk about the revolution, your life in the revolution. It's been 38 years, and you have been part and parcel of that. And in the lead up to the revolution, what were you doing? Were you a student? Where were you studying? What were you studying?
Thank you. First of all, let me say this. As one of the young students who joined the movement in 1983, we are now 38 years here. We did what we were supposed to do, but to begin with, let me say, let me remember in this special day, let me remember our fallen heroes, those who lost their life, who sacrificed their lives because of South Sudan. I would like to remember them, salute them, and in a special way also I want to congratulate those who are alive, wounded or not wounded, for that revolution. It was a revolution, and people sacrificed, including our people of South Sudan, all contributed to make South Sudan a nation. We are proud of it today.
Yes, so we know that the student movement was very strong. At times, it operated as part of the underground movement. So many of you, the students of the day, you were activists, and you were recruiting, and you were enlightened about the issues. You knew what were the issues. So tell me about how you left for the bush, your journey to the bush, how it happened.
Well, we left South Sudan towns, we left our schools with the intention to go and fight for South Sudan. We organized ourselves before, we oriented ourselves, we were having cells inside South Sudan as young people, as students, for the reasons. In South Sudan, it started the war in 1983, but this was not the first. It was a continuation of the war fought before the independence of Sudan, before Anyanya 1 and Anyanya 1, that ended that war in 1972. So ours was a continuation of the struggle for dignity and freedom of South Sudanese people. So we oriented ourselves, we organized ourselves. The politicians were working, and the students and the organized forces were also aware. So we were just organizing ourselves for several reasons, but we were waiting when. But when it came to May 16, it was initiated here in Botown. Everybody converged, and we have very reasons that we decided to take up arms, to fight, to challenge the Sudanese government and its armed forces.
So you were inspired, and then when the ignition happened, 16 May 1983, Major Carbino Kwanyin Ball, that was your cue to march to Bilfam. Tell me about the journey to Bilfam. Must have not been very easy. As students, you were not accustomed to bush life.
Well, before we go to the bush, let me go back a little bit again. Before 1983, when we were young, we were in our schools, we had a situation. Agreement of Anyanya 1 was signed, and South Sudanese got their own autonomous region of South Sudan.
In the Addis Ababa.
It was based in Juba here, they were having some autonomous government in South Sudan. During this, when we were in schools, many things happened. Sudan government were trying as a student. You can remember reason like the issue of Jungule Canal that took us to demonstrate in old town of South Sudan. I was in Malakal by then. So take the issue of Jungule Canal, take the issue of the oil. The oil was discovered. And again, Sudanese government was trying to shape, to change the map, to redraw the map. Part of South Sudan, especially Unity State and Northern Upper Nile, was said to be part of Sudan. That took everybody to the street, especially students. We started this struggle when we were in school. We protested, we demonstrated. For the first time, we saw a lot of things. We were fighting police, we were using tear gas in our life. We were not knowing this. This was prior to May 16, 1983 in Bor. Well, to go direct to your question, we were already organized, and some of us were already around Bilpam, because already there were Nyanya too in Bilpam and around countryside in South Sudan. We were having a Nyanya too in some part of Bahr al-Ghazal. So some of us left before 1983, some of us students and some politicians, they were already in the bush, were organizing for us, and we were communicating. So when the day was initiated by then Major General Major Kerbino Kwanyin Bol, who initiated that fight for the reasons, all of us from that day, we got the information everywhere in South Sudan using the media that was there, communication radios and commercial radios. So everybody was informed. So it was up to everybody by that day, either to remain or to go. So I was one of the people who decided to leave Malakal town and to prepare going to the bush.
You decided to leave with your colleagues. Was it a tough decision to make? Did you have to consult your family, or did you just make a unilateral decision by yourself that this is the right thing to do?
Yeah. Before that, we organized ourselves. The relatives and the parents were not aware. But after launching that revolution in Bor, we informed our relatives that this is what we are going to do. So the reaction was mixed. Some of them were saying, no, you should not go, you are young, continue with your school. But some say no, especially my father. He told me it is up to you to join your generation. If you decided to go, go with them. So from that time, we decided to move footing, a group of young people following Sobat River, passing through my home area of Gelachel. We spent some time with my colleagues, with my comrades. We followed the Sobat, heading to Ethiopia. This is what happened, really.
You probably encountered some obstacles on the way. It wasn't smooth. You were not moving on a paved road. You were going through the bushes.
Yeah, it was not a simple journey from Malakal to Ethiopia. It was not a simple journey. We were not trained, and we knew the Sudanese army were following us, using the helicopters, using the garrison that were along Soba River, and the river. They were using river, sending troops to Nasser. So it happened sometime we were shot at along Soba River. So we had to run. All of us, we were dispatched because we were scared of that shooting from the streamer that was going to Nasser. But we continued with that. It was not a long, easy journey. We followed the Soba River, fearing the helicopters. Sometimes we move at night because at daytime we can see helicopters hovering around. So we decided sometime to move at night or evening hours or early morning. So it was not easy.
What
We
were
also
you
have-
feeding on? What were you eating? Did you carry food with you, or you found wild fruits that you fed on?
Well, we started to move with some dry food from Malakal, like dry bread, tahnia, bala. We started to carry our own for that journey. By reaching a distance, they were over, but we were lucky because we were South Sudanese people by then. They were really aware of what was going to happen. So Anyanya too, especially the late Guy Tut, was along the Sobat. People were informed and they were organized into committees.
And they were not
to
hostile.
receive people.
They were not hostile.
They were not hostile at all. So we were following Sobat River. It started from Malakal up to the border with Ethiopia. We were getting food from the local people. The committees were formed. They collected food and everything. Wherever we go, we ask Bet Sultan. Nas committee when. So we were just receive. We spend 1 day, 2 days, and then we eat and then we go. So it was not difficult for that. Only we were fearing the enemy because we were armless. And in some cases, if we don't get food ready, then we have to use the little money that we have. We can buy whatever we get, goods or any food item that we get if the committee is not having something until we reach the border of Ethiopia.
The work to deliberation was not easy, as you are explaining. It came with a lot of sacrifices. But at the time, the idealism of the youth, the excitement, the euphoria that you are going to liberate your country and that you have to be part of a generation that delivers dignity to the people. When you were there, did you feel that it was the right thing for you to do?
Of course, beyond doubt, we were aware of what is going to happen. It took us some time to know what was going on in South Sudan, but it was a decision that we took. We don't hesitate. We don't blame ourselves, and we took it fully as a full division that we are going to challenge the Sudanese army, the powerful army by then. We took that decision as a challenge. We have to do it in that generation, whatever consequence that will happen. So we were really, and we were aware, we oriented ourselves for that mission. It was our time, it was our generation to do it.
And suppose that you are not gone to the bush, what would your life have looked like? Do you think that you would have still been facing difficulties if you did not opt it for the bush?
Well, in Sudan, in the old Sudan by then, we were not comfortable. We were not comfortable. The system, United Sudan, we were part of it, but we don't feel that we are independent. We were in schools, we were following our school, but we were not really comfortable with the system.
You were not included.
We were treated as second-class citizens. And the system of education by then was Arabized and Islamized. Not everybody that were ready to continue with that school. So we did not regret to take up arms to fight because we were not comfortable. Should we continue? Our people in the countryside were facing a lot of challenges. Poverty, Naskano Arianin, Lo winter great, winter begizul mutalim like the rest. Tagotpi, Medina, you have a house, you are working. And when you go to countryside, you get your people. Some are naked, some are half naked. Will you be proud that you are educated in Sudan? So poverty, backwardness were there. So we were really informed, and we took that decision fully. Yeah.
Let the revolution begin. So you went there, you said that the Anyanya elements were very friendly, and tell me more about that movement and your interactions with them.
Well, Anyanya 2 was a continuation of Anyanya 1. They returned back to the bush in 1975. Some of them were in the army, There was a mutiny in Akopa. South Sudanese were there in the bush, so we left.
Did you meet the leaders in those days, Vincent Kwany Lajor? And
We were in communication. William Abdallah Chol left for the bush, and we were communicating. Information was coming, everybody was aware. So we went with the confidence that these are our people, these are friendly, and they were waiting for us. They were informed, should we fight in Bor or Ayud or Malakal, they were the immediate reinforcement to the fighting forces of South Sudanese who rebelled. So we went there with confidence. Things changed after we reached because of this power struggle. But at the beginning, it was really friendly. We were brothers, and they received us.
let me understand, if there was underground movement or the cells were in existence and they're the ones networking South Sudanese, when you said you left Malakal to the Ethiopian border, who communicated that?
People were there. I remember even the late commander, Chega Tembiar, who was based in Malakal and Gelashel in particular. He used to move. They were moving to the border, even taking some items to Anyanya too. So communication was good and communication was there. Yeah, he was one of the people who were really communicating between the armed forces of Sudan, Southern Sudanese officers like General Salva Kiir, our current president, was in Malakal. Late Francis Ngor was in Malakal. Roktona Arok was there. Alfred Ajuong was there.
William Dengarang
was there. Those of William Yuan. So communication was really established. So communication, people were informed.
Tell me about your contribution as a commander of the SPLA. What would you say? What are the battles that you fought in?
Well, I joined the SPLA. I was trained as a mare soldier, an engineering unit.
Bonga?
In Bonga. And I came down to Upper Nile because our battalion was Jamus, was the second batch to be trained and was divided into two. Some went to Bahr el Ghazal to go and send a message to Anyanya too in Bahr el Ghazal and to mobilize more. So I was one of the people who remained in Upper Nile. I started fighting around Canal, Malakal, somewhere in Ayud, Poktab. I was one of the Jamus who remained in Upper Nile. I started fighting as a soldier, Ukil Arif, and continue back. You remember, we took some hostages in Canal.
The French workers?
Yeah, the French workers. We took them to Ethiopia. I was one of the group that was moving with those hostages. It was not easy to make it up to the border. The border was closed by the Sudanese army, at least to free those hostages, but we were serious. I was moving with them up to the border of Akoba, to Tiergol. Along the way, they were fighting at the border, but we managed to take these hostages to Ethiopia. We made a breakthrough. We crossed the river. We continued fighting, fighting, until these hostages later on were in Ethiopia and they were released later on. And we were the group that shut down the Jungule Canal. The CCI company ceased to work, to operate because of that operation. That was the beginning of 1984.
As you led battles, you lost people who were dear to you, precious, and those are the ones to whom the SPLA Day is dedicated to. What are your memories of your colleagues who died on the way to independence?
I started fighting the war in early ages of my life, and I was having very many friends, comrades who were with me. We started to fight. Again, we were sent for courses, SPLA, Revolution War Studies. I became an officer. Again, I continued fighting. Along the way, we have lost very many dear friends and comrades. During the war, when I was an NCO, and after when I became it is a long history. We lost, say, in Jamus and in Chilwan in particular, the number was big. But today, those who are alive today in Chilwan, we were something like 418. Those who are alive today, not count to be 100, less than that. Nas Matu, Zul Kolos, relative to me, have seen him falling in the battle. Zulkan comrades, I saw him falling in that battle, but we were really determined to fight for South Sudan. Many people lost their life. It was a long journey to independence.
It must hit you a time when the battle has gone in the wrong direction and you have lost people. How is that feeling like? It must have been demoralizing.
Well, yeah, this is where we started to know ourselves as leaders, leadership. It differs from person to person. If we lost very many people, you can get the parade reduced, the number reduced, and those who lost their life, they will not be in that battle again. You get people who can take the wounded, you get people who are demoralized, but some of us, the more we lose life, the more we are strong. We have to fight for the reason. We have also, killing us, we are also killing people. If we are wounded, we want also to inflict serious wound to the enemy, to make him also to not to continue fighting us. So we were fighting for reasons, and we were not the same. Some who are demoralized, some who continue insisting to defeat the enemy.
What kept you going? What gave you courage? And did you know what you were doing? And is it what we have now, the independence? Did you ever thought that was the cause? Or did you say, let's just fight for our freedom? We don't know how it will end up, but let's just fight.
No, we fought for a cause. As I told you, we were knowing what was going to happen. We knew that we will not survive, all of us. But we decided to sacrifice for this country. We were fighting for the freedom of our people. We don't want to be second-class citizens. We want to make sure that we are independent and we are free in that country. Because South Sudan was part of Sudan, independent Sudan, but we don't enjoy it. So we fought for a reason that we want to have a country as we are today. We are proud of it, to have a country for our people, to have a country as South Sudan.
Tell me about your encounters with the leaders of the movement, the CNC, Dr. John Garang Damabior, Commander Salva Kiir Mayardit, Commander Carbino Kwanyin Ball, Commander William Nyon Bany. What role did they play, or what is their contribution to the liberation?
The Sudanese army officers were organized. Only we were not knowing them. But we know those who were in Malakal, like Commander Salva Kiir, like Chol Thon, William Yuan, Kervino Kwanyin, Alfred Ajuong. But those of Dr. John, we were hearing that we have some senior officers who are somewhere and we will meet them somewhere. We left Malakal with those of General Salfa, General Rock, General Francis Ngor, Alfred Ajuong. But reaching my home area of Gelachel, this was the first time for me to know Dr. John Garang. We met him. They were moving with Shagayatem. They were for Makeredeng Malao. We met along Sobat River near my village. It was on the evening we met, and we decided to move together to follow Sobat eastward until we reach Ethiopia for reorganization and training. We complete the organization at the border.
What would you say about the movement's leadership at the time, their contribution to the liberation? When we remember the martyrs, some of them are deceased. In fact, most of them are deceased, including the CNC, Dr. John Garang Damabir. What would you say in their remembrance? Well,
the officers were part of Anyanya 1, who were integrated in the Sudan Armed Forces. To start the war, it was their making, because it was their making for the war to continue. They were organized and they were the one leading us. They initiated and they were meaning it, so we benefited from them. They were the leaders who organized us, who trained us, who told us everything about South Sudan. So we respected them. Some of them have died. They give us training, orientation. So we were only students, but later on we were leaders today. It was their making. So we thank them. Those who are alive and those who are not here today, it was them to make South Sudan a country.
The liberation was not about fighting, it was about achieving certain objectives, many of whom have been achieved, some have not. We speak about fixing South Sudan in this show, and it is the unfinished business of the liberation, that there was an agenda to make South Sudan better. That dream has not been achieved for the majority of the populations. Now you are Deputy Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs. You never knew that one day you will become what you are now, but you knew as a fighter, you just do the right thing. What do we do to give independence dividends to the populations who are the majority?
When we started the war, our organization was a political military organization that organized the fighting force, that organized the civil population to be behind the movement. So the contribution was from everybody, including the civil population who were serving us with food. They help us carry our ammunition and heavy guns with the promise. We talk to them, we promise them that give her this, but later on we will give you independent. South Sudan will be yours, you will enjoy it, and you will have the recognition. They deserve to be recognized, they deserve to be compensated. Recognition means Salatin Diomdagde, they deserve to be recognized. Even they are supposed to be given medals, as you can see. And later on, they can go into our books, record of history. We promise them that you will be compensated. Compensation will be done to you, because we have taken enough. Bagar, Ganamaya, Dura, Ihaja. South Sudan independence should pay back the local population. Services are supposed to be there, school, roads, medical services, Ukulu, they are supposed to enjoy this with us. That was the promise. Now we have South Sudan. We are here to protect the achievement that we got.
If I ask you, what will it take to fix South Sudan, what would be your answer?
Well, we have started fixing South Sudan from day one. But because of challenges among South Sudanese people, when we were fighting the main enemy, we were united. But fixing South Sudan today, we have South Sudan, but we need to get united, to make the country stable, and then we protect that achievement and we go for development.
You talked about compensation and enjoyment.
Yes.
They are yet to come.
Yeah. We have started, but we are still working on that. People are divided. I mean to say.
How far is the destination?
No, I cannot tell you that it is going to. It is a continuation of a struggle. The struggle from fighting the war, but going to development, it is another long journey.
Lieutenant General Chol Thon Balok, the Deputy Minister of Defense, Veteran Affairs. Thanks on being on this program. Shukran.